How you guys doing? Well, you know what? I got a big treat for you guys tonight because I got a new friend on the podcast. It's a pretty cool story. I'll have to tell my perspective of it really quick. Is he had commented on one of my videos about the Surfer Pro, and he had said that it helped him a lot out in his business from big step up from push mowing, and so we communicated back and forth and things like that, and then now here we are on the podcast. So how you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing really good. So tell us a little bit tell us your name and tell us how you started in business and things like that.
Okay, so my name is Jacques Anderson. Most people call me Jay because they struggle with my first name. I'm different than most of the guys I watch on YouTube because I have a full-time 9 to 5 that I make a pretty good living at. So
Mhm.
when I
Mhm.
started looking at lawn care, it wasn't necessarily to grow it to supplant my main job. It's always been, can it be a lucrative side business? So for a few years, I hadn't started a company or an LLC. I just kind of did it on the side.
Mhm.
I pushed more, had a Walmart more than a Toro than a Honda. But, I stay in Southwest Georgia, and last summer the heat was just brutal. The heat
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
humidity, when you're out there push mowing, I don't care if it's self-propelled, after a couple of yards, you're just done. And so kind of going into this year, I knew I needed to do something different. Being that it is a side gig, I didn't want to spend too much on a mower. And so I just started searching YouTube. I had never driven any kind of zero turn or anything like that. And for some reason, I kept coming back after all the videos I watched. I kept coming back to the Surfer Pro. And then after looking at, I think it's the 34 and the 48,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
kept circling back to the 48. And that's how I found your channel, because you were
Oh
one of
wow.
the few people. Most people that have the Surfer Pro have the smaller version.
Yes. Yes.
You
The
were
most
one of the
popular
few people.
one. Mhm.
Right, right. You were one of the few people with the 48. So, I thought about it, end up went to a dealer about an hour away from me. I have dealers here, but they're the only one that had it in stock. Some of the other dealers wanted to charge me $200-300 shipping. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Mhm.
went through the purchase, they delivered it, and within 2 weeks, it was definitely making me money. So it's been really good. The Surfer Pro 48 has been a just for what I needed. It's been great.
Yeah. I mean, I ran it all day today. I mean, I pretty much uphold most of my business with that Surfer Pro. So I it's been great. I mean, I have 275 hours on mine. How many hours do you have on yours right so
I
far?
have about 18 hours. I got it about a month ago.
Oh, I got you.
So,
So it's still new.
no, so still new. So far, so good. And what I love about, and what I really, you had a particular video, was one of your first lines, and you couldn't tell how sloped the yard was, but you kept commenting on how it does slope.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I stay I have a trailer I pull and things like that, but my main bread
Right.
and butter is within my homeowners association. We have about 230, 240 homes.
Oh,
And
that's
honestly,
awesome.
when I cut yards in the HOA, I don't even like loading my trailer up. I just jump on the mower and I'll ride it to, 2 or 3 houses, cut them all, and then I'll come back and throw my blower and trimmer and edge and
Mm-hmm.
stuff in the
Mm-hmm.
truck and do it like that. But our HOA is a little bit different as far as the setup, because our neighborhood, the best way I can describe it, is like a bowl. I stay near a military base, and it was some land that was owned by the military base that they gave to the city of Columbus. And so the way this neighborhood set up, it's like a big bowl, and the houses all kind of go downhill, and at the bottom of the hill is a lake. And so what happens in almost every yard is there is some serious slope on almost every home in the
Oh, wow.
neighborhood. I kid you not, I probably cut between 15, 20 different properties in my neighborhood. I broke out my push mower one time.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I mean, I'm riding some slopes that are definitely more than what, because I think the instructions say 15 degrees, if I remember correctly. I
Mm-hmm.
probably rode 40, 35, 40 degree slopes. And it makes me more efficient, where other companies may not take the yard, or they cut it a few times and stop showing up. I cut the entire yard with my Surfer Pro 48. I don't know if the 34 would do that good. I have a buddy that has just a regular X Mark 48. I'm not sure exactly which model, but he can't do much slope either. The 48 for me, with it doing slope, it just makes me so efficient. It's been really what I needed, so it's been a good purchase.
Man, that's exciting, and thank you so much for reaching out to me because it's cool to know other people that have it. There is, like you said, they're selling a bunch of the 34s. I actually have like three people that I like know in real life that have bought the 34 because
Hmm.
it'd be a perfect mower. Let's say if you mow a lot of big yards, but you have a couple with gates or whatever. I mean, you could get that 34 and put it on the front of your trailer, and and try to do less push mowing. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I feel like they're most sold market. But
Right.
it's cool to know someone else that has the 48 because the 48s are pretty rare. But for me, for the high end yards, I knew I wanted something light, but I wanted a bigger deck, than a
Right.
34 if
Right.
possible, just so it didn't take a
Absolutely.
million swipes. And it's slow and all that,
Absolutely.
but I love how light it is. And like you're saying, the traction is really good. It's surprisingly good for what it is. Um,
Right, and it's been perfect for me because it's slow, but I haven't ever cut with a high end zero turn, so its top speed is
mm-hmm,
just fine
mm-hmm.
to me. It let me learn how to turn. I had a
Right.
few ruts and stuff as I got used. I cut mine some, but the 48 has been great. And the other thing, since my bread and butter is the HOA, and there are a lot of restrictions in the HOA about fencing and things like that. I've only encountered one backyard that I could not fit my 48-inch in. So
Oh, wow.
obviously, I go out of the HOA, and you're going to deal with chain link fences and some other things. But within the HOA I'm in, I've had 1 yard, probably out of 20, that I have not been able to fit my 48 inch. Matter of fact, there's a lot of competitors, and a gentleman, I was riding my mower to cut a yard, and he stopped me, and he had a truck and trailer, nice setup, and he asked me how much would I charge him to cut the backyard because um and he showed me the property. The backyard was pretty big. And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
so, I think it was, I didn't ask him how much he was making on the property. I want to say it probably was about $60. So for
mm-hmm.
$30, I rode my Surfer Pro 48 and barely squeezed back there, but squeezed back there, and 10 minutes later had another $30
Oh,
to my
wow.
property. Now,
Wow.
every time he cuts that in the next door neighbor's property, I cut the back and a small front yard and make about $50. And
Oh,
it's
wow.
because of the Surfer Pro. I just absolutely love it. It's been, for me, being my first mower. It's been so great. It's really helping me make money efficiently.
Well, and it is a really good mower. I mean, I've owned probably 15 different mowers, and I still bought that one. So if that tells you anything, uh,
Right,
and
right.
I still like it. Other than like you can't have everything in life. I mean, I love how short it is front to back. I mean, you could put two of those even on a 10-foot trailer easily. Um,
Right.
I love how lightweight it is. I mean, you can pick up the front if you need to. I guess the
Yeah,
only
which I've done.
yeah, 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 I have too. The only downside is just the speed, in my opinion. Like even the like the Hustler Raptor like sit down mower
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
faster than this. This is probably equivalent speed. It actually shares the deck and everything as the Hustler Dash, which is like
Right.
the real low end, sit down mower. But the traction is going to be better on this. It's going to be smaller than the sit down one. And so yeah, I mean it's awesome. There's only two residential stand on mowers in the market that I know of, and it's this one that me and you have, and then there's the
Hmm.
Bad Boy Revolt SD.
Hmm.
Um, and I would love to like get my hands on one of those just to like see how it is, but it is 800 and some pounds, but you can get them for like 55, 5600, and
Hmm.
they will have come with a better, the next step up, hydros and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, that would be a little faster, but again, I don't know if the traction is going to be as good. It's definitely going to be heavier, and so comparing the two, even when I bought this one because of the lightweight and just all the things, I wound up buying the Hustler. So, um, like I really haven't had any major issues with it. One thing The gas tank is a little annoying. You'll find that out.
It is, and
um,
it's small.
mm-hmm. So that's
Yeah.
that's one thing, and then another thing. If this ever happens to you, you will know. But if you're ever like mowing along with the blades on and stuff, and it just starts acting crazy, cutting in and out, and
Hmm.
whatnot, the um the wiring harness where it connects to the back of the switch, the PTO switch,
Hmm.
is just straight up. It just slides up in there, and so over time it will wiggle itself down, and you won't have a quite good connection, if that makes sense, from the
Right.
back of the
It
PTO
does.
switch. So if
It
that
does.
if that happens, reach up in there and you just push it back up, push it back together, and boom, you're good again. So that's something that has happened several times. Um, and then what else? Of course, as you drive down the road, if you hit any bumps, um, the handle, like the deck will
Yeah, where you
fall
adjust the
down.
deck height,
Yep.
it'll move. Yeah.
Um, and then what else? What else is like a daily problem to me?
The only issue I've had out of mine, and again, I have a little bit less than 20 hours,
Mm-hmm.
is how when you're on the mower and you take the brake off and you engage the blade, when you step off the mower, it's supposed to cut off when you have that blade engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And that hasn't worked for me. So, I've looked at videos. It looks like I just need to adjust the some screws on it, and I haven't contacted the dealer about it because it's not the biggest deal, but I don't want to have a brain lapse and something's clogged and I forget to turn my blades off and chop my hand off. But I'm not touching those anyway if the mower's on. But
Right,
that's been
right.
the only issue I've had. But again, I only have 18 hours of use on mine. But so far so good. But I have saw some videos about some of the things that you described, especially about the cutting height lever kind of coming undone if you hit a bump as you're driving.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's it's not a deal breaker.
Mhm.
You could just move the pin to the top hole, and that way, if it falls down, it
Right.
won't really fall. Or you could just like once you put it on the trailer, just drop the deck down to the pin on purpose. You could do that
Right. Right.
just so it's not falling down. Dropping down like without your hand. Like free, just dropping down. Um, I usually don't remember to do either one of those things, but you could.
Right. Same. Same.
And
Yeah. So
then,
it's been a really good mower for me. I think obviously I'm kind of a novice when it comes to, buying different mowers. But for me, you really got to look at what you want to accomplish with your business because I started to buy a mower twice the price of the Surfer Pro 40. And I am so glad that I didn't because it probably wouldn't have gotten the job done with the slope like the Surfer Pro. So it probably would have been
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
not get the job done and I would have paid double the money for it. So I'm really glad I made the decision. And like your YouTube channel really helped kind of finalize my decision in getting I was picking between the 34 and the 48 and I decided with the 48. I'm so glad that I did.
Well, man, that is awesome. That is so good to know that I help someone. Because you never know. Like when you're making a YouTube video, you hope it helps someone, but you never know that. And you don't know that for sure. Until it really happens. So and tell us. So I'm so glad that it was able to be helpful. For you. So tell us a little bit about your your setup that you mentioned with your HOA because that is awesome. So you have like serious route density. You don't even have to drive to every lawn. So
I,
tell
I've
us about that a little bit.
I do. So I've been in the same neighborhood since 2017, and I've done lines kind of on the side because it wasn't official. Like I said, I hadn't gotten LLC. Now I do, and things like that. But it's so dense. It's probably 230, 240 homes within a half-mile radius, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm
That's
actually
awesome.
in a Hustler Facebook group, and I felt weird at first driving my mower around the subdivision doing lines. But then I saw another gentleman that said it's not even worth his time to load his trailer up, and he had bought some clips for his edger and stuff, and actually clipped them onto the
Mm-hmm.
mower that he
Mm-hmm.
had. And so for me, it takes me way longer to load because I back my trailer up in my garage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anything to be stolen. I don't want
Right.
my equipment
Right.
getting rained on. So to pull it out and load everything up, that is so much more time consuming than for me to go cut 4 yards. I go cut all four and I come back and edge them and trim them one by one and one, two, three, four, and then I'm done. I just pull my mower right back in the garage. So far, I have some pretty good route density. With the money, I'm making pretty good money now. I've had some $1,000 weeks on
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
subdivision. I got a goal I want to get to from a revenue standpoint. I do think that I'm likely going to have to leave out of my subdivision to get there, but it still can't
Mm-hmm.
hurt having a lot of clients in a really, really tight route. And what I'm trying to do, if at all possible, is stay within a 1, 2 mile radius of my home. It's a lot of nice homes in the area that I'm in. If I can't, then so be it. But I'm definitely not doing anything like I got 1 yard, 30 minutes over here, then
Mm-hmm.
another one,
Mm-hmm.
40 minutes the opposite way. I just can't make money. And the other thing that to me is more important than money doing this as a side venture is time. Like I don't have time to go do a yard 40 minutes this way and then come back 30 minutes the other way and do another yard. Being that this is a part-time side gig, I don't have time for that. And so keeping everything tight, oftentimes I can take a half day off work. I'll work maybe from 7 to 12 or something like that. And then I'll do yards for the rest of the day. But because everything's nice and tight, I don't have travel time, nothing substantial between my yards. So the HOA has been good. I'm actually trying to kind of get my foot in with a couple other area HOAs because I would love if all of my business pretty much consisted of two or three different
Mm-hmm.
subdivisions,
Mm-hmm.
So still working on that, but I saw a lot of YouTube videos talking about how important route density is, and I really believe that having a tight route, I would rather make less money. I'd rather make 10, 15% less on lines and have a tight route than to make a premium, but I have that travel time. Because if your mower's not running, you're not making any money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's 100% correct. And I think that is a great goal, and you could definitely do that. I mean, you know, because it's part time, I mean, you don't need a million lawns. So between your neighborhood and then a couple like close other neighborhoods like it, boom, you have your schedule full, and you're still only driving a few miles, and like that that is awesome. I mean, most people, even that are professionals, are not going to have their route as good as you. I mean, I live at a lake community, and I got to kind of drive around the lake to get to these neighborhoods, and so I mean,
Hmm.
I'm going way more than 2 miles. um,
Right, right, right.
but so I mean, man, if you can go, even if you went 5 miles, 10 miles, like
It's not
that's still
bad.
great. Yeah. And so do you tell us about like the rest of your setup? Do you have like a pickup truck, or like how do you go to these other neighborhoods?
So I have a Ford Explorer. So my fiance fussed a little bit because a couple years ago so I own a couple of vehicles. I own a
Mm-hmm.
BMW, which is not ideal for pulling
Right,
anything,
right.
and a Ford Explorer Limited. So she liked it, and it's got leather and heated seats. And then next thing I know, I'm telling her that I'm going to throw a trailer hitch on it
Oh
to
wow.
pull.
Yeah.
I have a 5x8 trailer, but we did it and we talked about it. So my setup. So I'm in my early stages of growing my business. So I have my trailer, I have some racks on the side. And I want to be honest because I want to let people know it's okay to start off. Right now, I have my Surfer Pro, and then I'm still using some Ryobi homeowner grade tools. Now
Mm-hmm.
I have the funds to upgrade, but I'm like before I spend $500, $600, I want to make more money. And so and I'm like, okay, if I have a Ryobi, kind of similar to the Combi or the Steel, where you can change the attachment out and put a
Mm-hmm.
hedge
Mm-hmm.
trimmer. And I have the same thing. I can put my stick edger on. I can put my trimmer on. I can put my hedge trimmer on. And I'm kind of at a point like since I'm not doing 30 yards a day, I really don't want to spend until I kind of have to. Because if I have a failure of a Ryobi trimmer is not that big a deal. I can go spend $300, $400 and get the nice steel right at Home Depot. It's not like I'm going to be down, some
Right,
substantial
right.
time because of that. I have a Toro time cutter, but I haven't used that thing maybe twice this season. So, I have a Toro time cutter that if it's just a little too steep or something, I'll push with that. But my bread and butter has been my Surfer Pro. So I
And
pull it with my Explorer, And when I do pull it, because honestly I haven't done much leaving the neighborhood. I have done some, but it's still early in the season. In Southwest Georgia, it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
early to mid-April, so I'm definitely planning on doing. But I pull my five. I chose a 5.8 because I can get my Surfer Pro on it. I can get a push on it. I can get some gas tanks in my racks, and I still have enough room. And I don't want to get anything that took up too much room in my garage because being that it's part time, I don't want to build of a storage unit that I have to go take my
Right.
stuff to. Like
Right.
I'm trying to
Right.
keep my expenses bare minimum. I can back the 5 by 8 up, only take up half my garage, and I
Mm-hmm.
can have my
Mm-hmm.
stuff secure. I see stories about people left their stuff in the driveway and they wake up and somebody's pulled their trailer off and it's gone. So,
Yeah.
but pretty basic setup. I want to upgrade to the steel, PAS system probably within the next month or two because I know this Ryobi stuff is going to die on me soon. But when it does, I'm probably going to upgrade to maybe the 225 and get the different, or maybe get two of them. One that I keep with the trimmer, maybe one I switch between the stick edger and the hedge trimmer. But
Well,
a pretty basic setup.
yeah, that's great. No, I mean your Ford Explorer, it's going to be plenty enough power for, again, this mower is super light, and so it's especially, and you're only going a few miles. I mean, you could run that Ford Explorer just like that for the next 15 years if you want to. I don't think you, especially if it's part time and stuff. I mean, there's no real reason where I think you have to like buy big pickup truck and all this stuff. I mean, you could if you want to, but
No need to, because the
yeah,
Explorer can pull three, and that's another reason. It's so many things. 'Cause I researched probably for a month before I pulled the trigger, but the weight of it, making sure I keep my weight with the Explorer below 3,000 pounds was another reason I kept coming back to the Surfer Pro because it wasn't as heavy as a lot of the other mowers.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, and and remember, like you can always like as far as a gas powered trimmer, like the Echo 225, which you can get at Home Depot for still a very 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 reasonable price. I think the dedicated trimmer I think is 229 right now. And then you could get the PAS one. I think it's probably $20-$30 more than that. Um, and then you can run any of the Echo attachments, which
Right,
that's kind of
right.
what you're talking about. And that's um, and Steel does offer. I think it's the FS56 or something.
And
Um,
I think it was Echo. Whatever it was the one Home Depot carried. I think it
You're
was
talking
the
about
Echo
Echo.
2.
Yeah, you're saying
Yeah,
Steel,
yeah,
but I could
Echo
tell that you're
220.
talking about Echo.
Right,
um,
right, 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 right.
So, I mean, both are good. Echo Steel. I mean, it's kind of a Ford Chevy thing. Um,
Right, right, right,
but
right.
um, yeah. So, like, you could always, like you're saying, any day of the week, you can stop by Home Depot and pick one of those up, and then you could, and that may be something that you acquire in the future, and that way, even if your Ryobi doesn't go down, a PAS system is small, and so you could keep your Ryobi, as a backup. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And then
right.
you
Absolutely.
could have that the little Echo one. Um, and I actually have the Ryobi carbon fiber 40 volt trimmer in my garage right
The
now.
battery power. I've been seeing you
Mm-hmm.
on your
Mm-hmm.
videos using it. I've
Yeah.
been so torn on trying my hand at some of the battery power stuff, but I saw a couple of your shorts using that trimmer.
Well, and if your lawns are semi small, I mean it's pretty sweet, and you're close to home and all that. I mean
Right.
it is nice. It definitely is nice. Um, and something else to think about, which I've mentioned in a lot of my videos too, how I even found out about the Surfer Pro originally, like a year before it came out, is the Equip Expo, and so there's a lot of different events and things that I'm a part of there, and you're invited to do anything that I'm doing there, and it is an awesome. It is the coolest event that I've ever been to in my life, hands down. And I've done a lot of different things, a lot of different motorsports things, music things. But man, the Equip Expo, something about it. It's like $12 to get in, like these guys' codes and stuff, and then
Hmm.
and the trip is a tax write off, and it's just 2 days. But if you came to that, like it would blow your mind. It would blow your mind, just seeing the lawn care community like as a whole. 30,000 lawn guys attend that thing
Yeah, that's
every year,
crazy.
and then not only that, but every single brand is there. You can drive anything you want. out in the back acres, like any brand of any style mower, skid steer, whatever it is, they're all there. They give you all kinds of hats, shirts, and snacks, and I mean, just getting there in the hotel and stuff is the only part that really costs money. Because the ticket itself, basically all the vendors pay a lot of money to be there. Hustler, Exmark, or whatever, and so they really, really, really cater it to the lawn guy. Does that make sense? So, like,
absolutely.
it is awesome. It's in October, middle October, and it is cool. I just drive up there. I don't fly or anything. I drive from here. It's 7.5 hours. I go, up to Dalton and Chattanooga and all that mess. And I don't know if it'd be farther for you. Probably similar because I got to go west to Atlanta and then up.
Yeah, and I'm about 90 minutes west of Atlanta, so I'm going northeast to get to Atlanta.
I got you. So you're about the same as me. I have to go an hour west.
Yeah.
You may be 20, 30 minutes farther, a different direction.
Right.
But man, like that is something. There's so many guys there doing the exact same thing that you're doing, the exact same setup, part-time setup. There's on Thursday night at this huge like convention center thing. There's like a huge like lawn care social media just meetup. 800 people come there. Somewhere between 500 and 700, is general numbers. But man, that is awesome too. They'll have like all this food and everything catered in. And we're actually going to do it in like one of the rooms up in the top of this like concert convention center thing. So let's say the Yum Center, let's say, they have like bands and stuff there. Let's say, I don't know, whoever this Justin Bieber, whoever it is, they have like this private room up in the top that like overlooks the river, and it's kind of holds a couple hundred people in that room. Well, it holds more than that. And then the lawn care guys that like, I don't set it up or run or anything, but I attend it, and it's that whole room is taken up by the lawn care community, and that it is just, it's incredible. And so, we're in that fancy room. It's just every night there's things to do like that. And, like I said, I know hundreds and hundreds of people there. So it definitely would be a big encouragement, just to your business and to what you got going on in life in general. So I just want you to know you're invited to that, because I'm gonna be doing a lot.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be doing a lot of different things there. Are you familiar with Paul Jameson and the Green Industry podcast?
I haven't heard of that gentleman. I haven't heard, I don't listen to podcasts as much as I used to. I do YouTube Premium where you can black your phone out but still hear the videos, and so I more watch YouTube and just listen to it than I used to. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts on Stitcher, but I may have to check that podcast out.
Okay, so yeah, because Green Industry podcast, like he's the number one podcast like in the industry, and it's like he does it like full time, like 5 days a week. So he's on any of the podcast platform and stuff. And Thursday morning, which I haven't told anyone this yet on the podcast, but Paul has told it on his podcast. So, it's out there. But Thursday morning, I think it's at 8 a.m. before the show starts. They have like this panel thing where they do like a live podcast, and Paul is going to have me on his podcast that day, and then there's a couple other like big podcast names that are going to be doing them with other guys, and so that'll be cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like that's kind of a once in a lifetime thing for me. So that'll be cool. And they give you donuts and coffee and all that stuff when you come there that morning. It is just incredible thing, and I make friends for a lifetime. So I just want you to know that, and anyone out there listening, like this is a really, if you have anything to do with lawn care and landscaping, like this event is incredible. And not to mention, you have any questions, about your Hustler mower or whatever, you can, the VP and all these people, from the Hustler company. They'll be just standing there, and you can talk to them from any company. You know, anything you want to try, any trimmer you want to try, blower. I mean, it's cool. Any truck, trailer setup that you ever want to see is there. Um, Hardscaping, landscaping. I mean, everything. They even, yeah. I mean, it's just so. Just keep that in the back of your mind because that would be, you would love it. That's all I'm saying. So.
Definitely, yeah. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that because I'm kind of at a place where I don't necessarily know, do I want to kind of stand pat and just
Mm-hmm.
do this year after year for extra income? The one thing I've thought about, I watched a gentleman, I'm sure you've heard of him, the Lawn Care Life on YouTube, and he did lawn care and he got into fertilization
Mm-hmm.
and
Jason
weed
Creel.
control. And so yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought about, doing the course and everything because I don't want to get big into it. But man, would I like to have 30 lawns that I mow and handle their fertilization
Yeah,
and
yeah.
handle their weed control. It's just like I
Mm-hmm.
can make even more money per customer by being able to handle everything. So right now, obviously I can't because, you got to have the credentials to be able to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something
Mm-hmm.
I've looked into, haven't pulled the trigger on, but it's something I'm um, definitely thinking about.
Well, I mean, if you come to there, I mean, every 90% of these YouTube channels that you see or think about are there,
Mhm.
just here, they're hanging out, standing around. So,
Right,
like,
right,
it would be a great place, to ask. You can walk up and ask them about this and that and the other. Um,
right, right.
and so, yeah, I mean, yeah, I know Jason Creel is a great guy. Because I've been going there about 8 years in a row now. If that tells you anything,
Hmm.
that I would go spend my money to go 8 years in a row, and I'm still going to go
Right, right.
again this year. Um, so yeah, so like it, any of these like questions or things like that or possible directions of your business or something, this is the perfect place where you can go and talk to basically anyone in the industry that you want in real life. Um, and so the price of making the trip happen is pretty small compared to these questions and things that you'd be able to ask. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Um,
it does. It does.
and so so yeah, so definitely think about attending that. It doesn't matter if you're full time or part. I mean, half the people there are probably part time, and that's good. I mean, I have no problem with that. I think it's great to be part time, making a lot of money on the side, and then also you get to change it up a little in your life and do something else. Um, Before we get off here and I
Absolutely.
let you,
Hmm.
enjoy the rest of your night, what do you do like for your real job?
So I'm a claims manager at a pretty big health insurance company. So I've been there. Man, I'm getting old. I'm 41. 11 years. This June will be 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So really love. I absolutely love my job. Don't want to leave. And that's what I find, a shortage of people on YouTube. And most people seem to be want to do lawn care and progress to making it full time. And that's not what I want. Like I
Mm-hmm.
hope I'm on my
Mm-hmm.
job 15 years from now.
Right.
I really
Right.
want to keep it as a part-time gig. And what I love about lawn care is my job's a white collar job. But
Mm-hmm.
I like, sometimes I feel like being mentally drained at work is worse than being physically exhausted. And so I like the balance of, my
Right.
9 to 5 is white collar, but then I get out there and can do some blue collar work, helps try to keep me in shape and
Yes.
get some
Yes.
vitamin D and things like that. So, but
And
I've been at the same company for about June will be 11 years.
and so that's awesome because it kind of balances out what you get to do. Because if you're at a desk all during the day, then you get a little bit to get outside and get fresh air, and you're kind of getting to do both, and so you're not having to just get grind it out and get blown out, in either one,
Absolutely.
which is cool. That's really
Absolutely.
cool. And
Yep.
hey, in the
So
future, if you stick with them, you could probably get your entire business that you need inside of your neighborhood. I mean, with 200 and something homes, it's just a matter of figuring out how to communicate, meeting the people and just
agreed.
um, because of the fact that you live in the neighborhood for folks, that's just like automatic credentials. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. Automatic
Yeah.
trust with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Yes.
people.
Yes. That's what I'm trying to
Absolutely.
say. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because if you live in the neighborhood, And if you have for, any length of time, like that just automatically, like you're saying, it's just like automatic trust is there because, oh, okay, you live in the same neighborhood as me, because that's something, you know, people immediately think of in their mind. This lawn care truck pulls up, like, who is this guy? Is he from San Francisco and he's,
Right,
under the
right.
radar, come to make quick drug money? You know what I'm saying? These are things that people think.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
not just to you. I mean, to anyone that does this business, it's kind of one of those kind of businesses, right? Um,
Absolutely.
or it can be. It can be. Um,
Yeah.
and so,
And I love HOAs. The last thing I'll say about HOAs is they have to keep their properties at a certain standard, meaning it's
hmm
not like one-off houses where they can go 3, 4 weeks and maybe a neighbor complains to the city and the city takes a month. Most subdivisions that have an HOA, they have to keep their properties at a certain standard or they're going to be fined. And so that means, for what that means to me is, if I can get in with any HOA, it doesn't have to be one that I live on, I am likely to have customers that will they'll mow more often. Now, one thing I haven't had
hmm
any luck is almost all my customers are bi-weekly. I see some people on YouTube saying they have nothing but weekly customers, and maybe I'm just not there yet, but I have not one weekly customer. Everyone I have is bi-weekly. In my area, that seems to be kind of the standard. But
hmm
no matter what, in HOA, they have to keep their lawn maintained, and so that's more potential business.
Yeah. So do you do like all of them on one week, or are you doing half and half on the weeks? And how do you handle like if
So
4th of July and everybody wants it 4th of July for barbecue, you know?
right. So keep in mind, last year with the push mower, I only had a small handful of lines. So some
hmm
things I'm going to be encountering the first time this year. But what is so odd, Tony, this year is just the way things have failed. I have one heavy week where I might have 16, 17 homes, and then the other rotation, I have five. I have like 4 or 5. So I know I have an opportunity on that week where I don't have that many yards to get more, but the way it has failed so far is I have one pretty busy week and then one week that's kind of almost dead.
Which that could be
Yep.
good.
So
You could kind of get a
mhm.
break from it, or you could kind of even them out a little bit. Like you could um, go back to those lawns even though they're not due, and even if you wanted to basically not charge them for it and just kind of do the mowing
Yeah, give
part or
them a
whatever.
cut to knock them on a different
Right,
schedule.
right. Just
Right,
to
right.
like even if you didn't do the 100% job, just if you kind of got it touched up so it could, you know, you're just basically doing it early for free, kind of just the one time to kind of
To get them onto the
get them
other
on the
week.
schedule you
Right,
want. Um,
right.
and that's kind of a thing, here at the lake. Thankfully now, doing this my whole life. In the last few years, I am like all weekly customers now, but that's not necessarily possible, in every area and every. It is much easier to pick up, bi-weekly customers, and that will always be the case. And so what I did is when I started my business, I fill up as many bi-weeklies as I could, and then as I started getting requests for weeklies and stuff, I just, kind of slowly worked into it. Does that make sense? Um,
Oh yeah, it absolutely does. And see, this year I'm probably looking to end at about 30 or so properties, and I'm at 20, and so I'm hoping by the April I can hit that number. 30 seems like a number when I sit down and add my finances up and balance things with my time. Because I've learned lately, your time is kind of, as you get older, the most important commodity that you have, man. When it comes to, I got a big family and I
mm-hmm,
have some
mm-hmm.
grandkids and things like that. So for me, I think about 30 is going to be my sweet spot. So I'm more than halfway there. So I don't have a whole lot further to push. And I don't have many properties that I have, maybe two that I probably drop down the road once I get enough to replace them. But I'm hoping I can get to 30 by staying pretty close. And if so, that'll probably be my goal for this year. Once the fall comes out, maybe reassess and see what next year looks like.
So 15 per week, is that what you want to do?
Right, right. Being that most of my customers are bi-weekly,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
15 moles a week, and twice, with 30 customers, and that'll be a pretty good spot for me, balancing my main job and everything.
And so do you do like pine straw mulch and fall cleanups, and how do you handle all that?
I haven't yet. My business says that I will. What I'm finding out, honestly, I had a lady today. I went out and measured. She has, a 3 foot pine straw border around her home, the
Mm-hmm.
sides and the back. Front, she has a flower bed, and she wanted white marble rocks. Not like I couldn't get her to bite on like white river rock that had some brown. She wanted the jet white marble rock. Where if you, I'm sure you know your prices. Those things are hot.
Mm-hmm.
Cheapest I could
Mm-hmm.
find them at a bulk place was 215 per cubic yard. And a couple years ago, they were like 170. So anyway, just to get the four, she needed 3.89 cubic yards. Just to get 4 cubic yards to her home was $930 plus tax, which was way more than she was wanting to spend. So
Mm-hmm.
she can
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I priced some black mulch. Honestly, with Lowe's doing the $2 per bag for 2 cubic feet, it is cheaper to get your mulch from Lowe's for me than to have it delivered from a,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
large landscaping company at that price. But when I look at her job, okay, I spend 130 on mulch and stuff, and it's just like, man, the time that job is gonna take me, it is going to be way less lucrative than mowing.
Right.
But
Yes.
she's a regular customer, so do
Mm-hmm.
I make
Mm-hmm.
less and just to keep her happy? And I think that's ultimately what I'm going to do. But to answer your question, so far, and maybe some other, I'm going to listen to some of your older podcasts. Maybe I'm not finding that the most jobs and stuff are as lucrative as just mowing. I would rather find another customer to mow.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that's kind of how it works, even at the kind of high end ones I do. Is
Hmm.
that but in order to keep them happy and keep their property looking,
Right,
as good or better as the neighbor next door, somebody's going to have to put mulch and or pine straw or whatever they
right,
have,
right,
or
right,
rocks or whatever they want. Um, you know, those things you need to do those so that way it looks complete. And I mean if they don't ask about them, I mean fine, um, but I'm just saying be ready to do that because they probably, if their mulch looks real old or whatever, they probably will do that. But if you're in an HOA, like it will be pretty fast. Like
right.
I mean, I'm doing like, I mean, like one house can take 6 or 8 yards of mulch just to do a very light coating like around the house, and
Right,
then the outer border might have 200 bales of pine straw. You know what I'm saying? So like
right, right,
um, a 3 foot border around the house, like it will not take you that long. Um,
right, right.
I actually, in that situation, I would like to like hold the bag, rip it open on the top, and kind of you'll kind of get used to it, but it kind of like jiggle the bag, and so that you're not pulling up, like you're not just because if you just dump it on the ground and then you bend down, you spray it with your hands or you spray it with the rake or whatever, you'll find that it's very easy to pull up, old stuff that's underneath it.
Right,
And then
right,
what that means is so you're going to have to go so thick with it so that even when you're pulling up some of the old junk from the bottom, there's just you've added enough to where it just kind of it still covers it, even if um even if you're scrounging up some stuff from the bottom. So what I tend to do is each year do a coating, get it covered, but I don't put it, 3, 4 inches deep or anything. I might go an inch deep on top of what they already have because the sun's going to bleach it. You're going to have to retouch it up next year anyway.
true.
And so it saves them some money, saves me some time. And so that's how I would, if I was lived in your HOA, I would, like I said, hold the bag, jiggle like I'm spreading it as I'm, dumping it out of the bag, but I'm going lightly with it. And then maybe you have to just bend down and touch up a few little spots where you might want a
Right, right.
hair too thick or whatever. But if you do that, and that way the new mulch is only falling down from the sky. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, yeah, it does.
you're
It
not
does.
you're not moving around anything. You're not moving around anything they had previously under there. And what you'll find is that it covers it and makes it look pristine with less mulch if you do that. If you do it that way. Um, and again, it still looks great for a year. I've not had any problems doing like that. Um, and so that's kind of how I do it. So, and obviously, if the customer gets it all covered with less mulch, they're happy about that anyway.
Right, because there's less money. So yeah,
Right.
that's probably where I'm going to be at is doing those jobs for clients that I have that are biweekly, mowing clients. I don't think I'm really interested in doing jobs like that as one-offs because it's just not as profitable. But for my customers who are mowing, biweekly, then I'll bite the bullet and get it taken care of.
Yeah. I mean, if you know, and I agree. And that's how I, run my business now. Like if someone just calls and, hey, how much to just put it, per bale, put pine straw. No, I don't do that. I just do it for the people, that pay me all the time. And,
Right.
I make a little extra money on it. It's cool, whatever. But I still would prefer to just do mowing and just do my route. But I'm just saying, if it, and even if they didn't ask you about it and the mulch just looks really faded, to get a bleached gray, you know what I'm saying? When it
Right,
starts
right,
to look
right.
really bad, um, I would, if I were you, I would ask them about it because you're going that extra mile to say, hey, do you want me to fix this and make that look good? Because even if your mowing looks great, if the neighbor gets all new mulch in their beds, even if your mowing looks fantastic, it just the property, it really gives it that pop. When the beds look
Right.
nice, when everything looks right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And
Um,
it's an opportunity for a competitor not to come through and do that. And then, never know what that turns into.
right, exactly.
Right.
So, I mean, just going around the house. I mean, if 20 bags or whatever it is, I mean, it's not bad. It won't take you that long. You can put them on your little trailer. Um, you know, put them on there, throw a strap on there, from Lowe's, like you're saying, and no big deal. Um, and then, and just as you're going along, you save one of the bags of mulch and then you put all the empty bags into the one empty bag. Does that make sense? And
Yeah,
then,
yeah, absolutely.
then when you're done, you just have one bag of all the empty mulch bags are crammed into that one bag, and maybe you touch up a little edge here or there with your blower or rake, and away you go. So,
Yep. And
um,
on to the next property.
yeah, yeah. Um, so man, it was great to meet you. We should catch up again soon, or like in coming months or whatever, and kind of get an update on the Surfer Pro. That'd be
Absolutely, because
cool.
I like to update you, like with this being my first, not my first season, but my first full season with some, good equipment and the ability to handle volume. I like to, just catch up with you, let you know how things go.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's do that, bud. I appreciate you, and like I said, definitely think about the expo. You got to plan ahead for it. Obviously, all of us do to make that happen, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just type in Equip Expo on Google. It's that
Mm-hmm.
it's that so it's Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, and then till lunch on Friday. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it is it's you can see the airport from where it is. So a lot of people do fly in, and if you get a hotel close or whatever, I mean, you could fly in, get Uber, like not even drive. You know what I'm saying? Um, people do that. Uh, so like it's not hard at all to once you're there to get around. Um, like literally, there's the whole time you're at the expo, there's the airplanes are huge going right over your head. You know what I mean? Like it's right down the street from the airport. So I don't know if you're into
Mm-hmm.
flying or that kind of thing, but if you are, it can that can definitely be easy right there. The Louisville, however they say it,
Yeah,
Louisville
yeah, yeah.
Airport.
Kentucky.
Um, yeah, and so definitely think about that. Just if you're into YouTube, just type in Equip Expo. They changed the name. It's still the same thing, but they changed the name like a couple of years ago. It used to be called GIE Expo. So if you type in
Mm-hmm.
GIE Expo or Equip Expo on YouTube, all the guys have. There's a million videos about it. Although you know none of it does justice as what it is in real life, but I still would go on there and start watching videos of, if you have the premium stuff, just um, if you're into YouTube anyway, yeah, Equip Expo or GIE Expo, because anything before like 2 years ago is going to be called GIE. It was Green Industry Equipment Expo or whatever, so GIE
Okay.
Expo. And yeah, just start, going down the rabbit hole of that. Um, I have a lot of videos, over the past years. I didn't do too much videoing there this year. I did a little bit, but if you look at some previous years, it's cool. And I'll try to send you a couple of those too. But thank you, Bud, so much for being on the podcast today. Um, do you want to? Is there any way that someone, like if someone else had a question about their Snapper Pro or about business or something, like do you have Instagram or stuff, or would you be willing, like if someone that's in your same shoes
I, I'm
wanted to
s-
ask you about
I'm
something, you know what I'm
still
saying?
early on with like my business, so I don't have like a Instagram page. But anyone could be more than happy to email me at my email address. Is my first name is JACQUES. Last name is Anderson, Anderson 23 at yahoo.com. Because I'll be happy to answer questions about the Surfer Pro because it's been a godsend for me. So, but yeah, Jacques Anderson 23 at yahoo.com.
All right, bud. Well, I appreciate you, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
See
Bye
ya.
bye.